faithfully delivering value, interpreting great books worldwide. Hello, this is Sally's Book Talk. Today we're exploring Volume 2 of The Snowball. This volume covers Warren Buffett's pre-40s journey. Despite his father's congressional seat, Buffett grew up in relative poverty, fueling his early drive for wealth. As a teen, he mastered money-generating compound interest models. At university, he studied under value investing pioneer Benjamin Graham, developing unique investment principles. Young Buffett then launched his investment career in Omaha, a small Midwest city. Today, I'll unpack Volume 2 by dividing Buffett's later career into three phases. First, from 1970 to 1983, where partner Charlie Munger transformed him from fund manager to investing maestro. Second phase, 1983 to early 1990s. Buffett and Munger merged companies, making Berkshire Hathaway snowball rapidly as Buffett's fame peaked. Third phase spans early 1990s to this book's publication.
In 2008, inspired by wife Susan and friend Bill Gates, Buffett shifted toward philanthropy, changing his relationship with wealth.
First, let's examine Phase 1, 1970 to 1983. Munger's influence elevated Buffett from successful fund manager to investment sage. In 1970, 40-year-old Buffett retired, dissolved partnerships, and consolidated assets into Berkshire Hathaway. He converted this textile mill into an investment firm. Original investors could cash out or convert to Berkshire stock. Buffett's choice of Berkshire as his launchpad was purely accidental. Not due to the company's merits, he got stuck with it during his career pivot, so Buffett used it as a container for all his assets. How did Buffett's post-1970 strategy differ from his partnership approach? Partnership firms are like modern private equity funds. They have fixed terms, partners might withdraw funds or demand dividends, forcing frequent sales of profitable stocks and preventing long-term holdings. After 1970, Buffett shifted to directly controlling Berkshire Hathaway and investing indirectly through it, enabling strategic planning. This change allowed long-term stock holdings, with Munger playing a crucial role. Charlie Munger was a California business lawyer, born in 1924, 6 years older than Buffett. In 1941, when the U.S. entered WHO, he was 17 and drafted, experiencing the war's brutality firsthand. After returning home, he went through a failed marriage. His wife left him with a son. But that boy developed leukemia at age 8. Munger spent all his money seeking treatment, yet watched his son die before him. These hardships gave Munger profound life insights, deeper than Buffett's on many issues. In 1958, while visiting a client in Omaha, Munger met Buffett, and they clicked instantly.
In 1965, at age 41, Munger started professional investing.
He had only $300,000, not on Buffett's scale. But Buffett always treated him as an equal partner. He followed Buffett into investments and made a fortune. Through this, he saw a problem. Buffett was too influenced by Graham, always seeking the cheapest companies. Though these companies were solid, they were generally small scale. Munger suggested that someone as talented as Buffett should pursue bigger deals. Buffett decided to follow Munger's advice to seek big deals. But his first hurdle was insufficient capital. In capital operations, Munger had more experience than Buffett. As a lawyer, he handled many corporate finance cases and knew raising funds didn't always require outside investors. In fact, many companies are cash cows themselves, especially insurers whose premiums far exceed payouts, creating abundant liquidity. Buffett had already bought an insurance company in 1967. Now he merged this asset into Berkshire Hathaway to significantly expand the insurance business. Then, Buffett used the insurance company's money to acquire a bank. From then on, he never had to worry about insufficient funds again. Munger didn't buy into the insurance company with Buffett. He targeted another cash cow called blue chip stamps. At that time, department stores in America popularized a discount method. Customers who spent a certain amount received a stamp. Accumulating a set number allowed them to redeem gifts for free. Blue chip stamps produced these stamps, and the key was that they not only made them, but also handled the gift redemption. When department stores bought the stamps, the price included prepayment for gifts, but not every consumer was keen on the promotion. Many people just threw away the stamps or took too long to collect enough. As a result, blue chip stamps had a large amount of unredeemed float on their books. So Munger seized this opportunity. He bought large amounts of blue chip stamp stock to become a controlling shareholder, then used that float for outside investments. Thus, Munger's snowball also grew larger. To execute capital operations, Buffett and Munger needed to buy higher quality assets, which meant a major breakthrough in Buffett's investment philosophy. Because quality assets are often expensive, this investment diverged sharply from the value principles he learned from Graham. However, he still found ways to reduce the acquisition cost. For example, they planned to buy See's Candies, a famous North American brand with high premiums. Its assets were only $5 million, but market value hit $30 million. Yeah. Buffett and Munger decided to offer $25 million. To cut that $5 million difference, they investigated See's Candy's major shareholders. The company's leader had just passed away. The shares were inherited by his younger brother. This brother was a playboy with little interest in running the candy company. Munger personally visited him and delivered a speech Buffett called the greatest ever. The central idea was that living a life of indulgence is a profoundly meaningful lifestyle. Pursuing beautiful girls takes considerable time. You shouldn't waste precious dating hours running this candy company. Woo! So Buffett handled the business talks while Munger handled the life talks. This perfectly matched duo smoothly acquired See's Candies at their own price. At this point, Buffett also ventured into a new investment field, journalism. His father wanted to be a journalist in his youth, but didn't succeed, and Buffett inherited this passion. As a kid, he earned lots of pocket money delivering newspapers, knowing this industry could yield hefty profits if done well. After meeting Munger, Buffett's view on journalism deepened. He invested in news media, not just for money, but more importantly, to gain influence and connect with America's political elite. In any country, politics is a key source of wealth. In 1969, Buffett bought the local Omaha Sun newspaper, telling his investment partners it wasn't financially significant and to ignore it. But he poured much effort into running the paper himself. Buffett used his skills to personally uncover a financial fraud scandal at Omaha's largest charity. This report helped the Omaha Sun win the 1973 Pulitzer Prize. At the award ceremony, Buffett met another Pulitzer winner, Katharine Graham, head of the Washington Post, who won for Watergate scandal coverage. Katharine hailed from the Jewish financial Meyer family and took her husband's surname, Graham, after marriage.
Buffett had two important Grahams in his life, mentor Benjamin Graham and Katharine Graham, with no family relation.
Katharine came from a prestigious family and had strong connections in political and business circles. Buffett gave her great investment advice, winning her trust.
In return, Katharine brought Buffett into America's political business elite circle and made him a Washington Post shareholder.
She introduced him to many political figures, boosting Buffett's social reputation daily. During this phase, Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway and Munger's blue chip stamps seemed independent, but complex cross-holdings among subsidiaries caused regulatory issues. Starting in 1975, both were investigated by the SEC on suspicion of colluding to manipulate stock prices. Munger believed the prolonged investigation damaged their business reputation. He told Buffett, "If a cop chases you for 500 kilometers, you're definitely getting a ticket." So they began streamlining holdings and gradually merged their companies. Additionally, Munger faced another issue. His stock investing skills lagged Buffett's, making his company's returns volatile. Munger excelled at capital operations, but used high leverage, amplifying his flaws and causing major losses. He realized stepping behind Buffett would better utilize both their strengths. In 1983, Munger sold blue-chip stamps to Buffett, becoming his deputy, supercharging Berkshire Hathaway toward bigger goals. Looking back at 1970 to 1983, Munger's influence freed Buffett from Graham's cigar-butt investing approach. His style shifted from small but beautiful to large and refined. He stopped focusing on single companies or individual investments, learning holistic thinking, building Berkshire Hathaway as a complete entity.
This financial empire.
Next, Phase 2, 1983 to early 1990s, Buffett's personal fame skyrocketed while his marriage faltered. And Buffett, after meeting Katharine Graham, Buffett spent immense time courting her and elite friends. He often appeared publicly with Katharine, 13 years his senior, fueling tabloid rumors that upset wife Susan. The Buffetts had long disagreed politically and lifestyle-wise. Buffett was conservative and frugal, some said cheap. Susan championed civil rights and high art. Buffett ignored household matters, leaving Susan parenting alone for years. After their 3 children grew up, Susan felt her duty was done. She decided to leave and pursue youthful dreams. In 1983, they formally separated. Susan moved to San Francisco to start an arts charity. She reconnected with her Jewish first love and formed close bonds with other men. Before Susan left, she asked her friend Astrid, a hotel head reader and chef, to care for Buffett's daily needs. Soon after, Astrid became Buffett's live-in girlfriend. Despite this, the couple never considered divorce. Susan continued attending social events as Mrs. Buffett while he funded her charity foundation. After years of marriage, they'd become inseparable family and business partners. After merging with Munger's company, Buffett made major acquisitions, starting with Nebraska Furniture Mart, founded by Mrs. Blumkin. Mrs. B, another business elder, he revered after Graham. She was born in 1893 to a poor Jewish family in Tsarist Russia. In 1916, fleeing Russian turmoil, 23-year-old Mrs. B crossed Siberia alone, sailed from Tianjin, China, across the Pacific to the American West. Starting by collecting discarded furniture to refurbish and sell, she gradually built North America's largest furniture retailer. Mrs. B never learned English literacy, settling where Russian immigrants clustered, coincidentally near Omaha.
Buffett knew Mrs. B since childhood and dreamed of buying her mart when starting his investment career.
But he couldn't afford it, and Mrs. B refused to sell. In 1983, Mrs. B turned 90. Realizing her descendants lacked her resolve, she finally sold to Buffett for $60 million. Though Buffett owned it, he entrusted operations to Mrs. B until 5 years later, when 95-year-old Mrs. B retired. But dramatically, after days at home, she regretted retiring and selling the company.
So, she started another furniture mart from scratch, rivaling Buffett within 4 years.
Reluctantly, Buffett negotiated with the 99-year-old again, paying $5 million for a non-compete agreement. This matter became legendary in investing circles, with Buffett himself gaining immensely from Mrs. B's indomitable spirit and unique character.
Another Buffett investment that hugely boosted his reputation was saving Wall Street giant Salomon Brothers.
In 1987, Buffett started buying Salomon stock, mainly valuing its bond market dominance.
During the 1980s bond boom, fueled by Fed policies, many tycoons, including future President Trump, made fortunes in junk bonds. Buffett disliked bond investing, seeing it as Wall Street's money game with no real economic benefit. But as an investor, he couldn't pass up this profit opportunity. After several meetings with CEO Gutfreund, Buffett trusted him and invested $700 million in Salomon, quickly reaping rich returns. In his first year, Buffett received $63 million in dividends from Salomon. But this time, Buffett misjudged the person. Guffrin's character was fine, but he failed to manage his employees. In 1990, Salomon's treasury head Moser caused major trouble. To prevent manipulation, U.S. rules limited single dealers to 35% of treasury auctions, but Moser used fake accounts to control 80 to 100, then resold at markup, essentially defrauding the government.
Worse, evidence showed Salomon executives knew but didn't stop this criminal activity.
This put Salomon's entire management at risk of mass imprisonment.
Munger recognized the severity early and advised Buffett to prepare. On Saturday, August 17, 1991, Salomon's board enacted a rescue, collective management resignation. They asked Buffett to become chairman and restructure the company.
But next day brought terrible news. The Treasury planned to ban Salomon from all treasury auctions after Monday's market open, a death sentence. Salomon's core business was corporate bonds, but treasury access symbolized an investment bank's credibility. Quote, plus, is the more Salomon brothers had massive financial leverage. If its credibility was questioned, all creditors demanding repayment would bankrupt it instantly.
Directors hoped Buffett would leverage his influence to delay the Treasury's penalty announcement.
Buffett and Munger held tense negotiations with regulators. Buffett warned regulators he'd quit entirely if they didn't revoke Salomon's severe punishment. Finally, Fed Chair Alan Greenspan called, begging Buffett to stay regardless. The Treasury replaced the original penalty with a lighter punishment. Salomon gained time to recover. Regulators didn't want it to fail either, as it was too big to collapse. Though bankruptcy would shock financial markets, reduced penalties couldn't absolve management's collective crimes. Such a scandal couldn't be easily forgiven.
Over the next period, Buffett and Munger raced to interview new management and persuade investors not to withdraw funds.
Then, an international political event helped immensely. Salomon's scandal broke on August 19, 1991. That same day, the USSR's shocking August coup pushed the nuclear superpower towards civil war, diverting market attention. Salomon faced much less pressure. By 1993, Buffett and Munger completed Salomon's restructuring.
Berkshire Hathaway's stock price doubled as a result.
Looking back at Buffett's 1983 to early 1990s career, multiple partners helped him achieve breakthroughs. Media titan Katharine Graham introduced him to political elites. Idol Mrs. demonstrated tenacity through an unexpected business war. Capital expert Munger assisted success at Salomon. Saving this Wall Street giant elevated Buffett's investing status immensely. Personally, Buffett's separation brought major changes. Susan pursued philanthropy after leaving domestic constraints, creating another turning point. Next, Phase 3. Buffett's investments and life from the early 1990s to this book's 2008 publication. July 4th, 1991, Independence Day in the U.S. That day, Buffett's friend Katharine Graham introduced him to a young rising star in tech, just 36 but already prominent. It was Bill Gates, Buffett and Gates's first meeting.
Katharine arranged it on a remote island intentionally, so neither could leave easily,
ensuring longer conversation. Perhaps she sensed they might not click. Buffett was notoriously tech avoider, as conservative about innovation as his politics, but their talk went smoothly. Buffett asked Gates about IBM. Gates pushed Buffett to buy Intel and Microsoft stock.
Gates also attempted what others failed, convincing Buffett to buy a computer for instant stock trading.
But Buffett didn't need instant trades. He held stocks for decades. He eventually bought a computer, not for trading, but for bridge games. He skipped Intel stock.
For Microsoft, he bought 100 shares as a memento because he liked Gates.
By now, Buffett was unmatched in wealth. Berkshire cost $7.50 per share in 1962, $1,000 when acquiring Munger's firm in 1983. After its 1988 NYSE listing, Berkshire traded around $3,000. By 1991, post-Salomon rescue, Berkshire hit $8,000 per share.
This made Buffett America's second richest,
with $3.8 billion invested across economic sectors.
Beyond insurance, media, manufacturing, he held consumer giants like Coca-Cola.
As America's economy boomed, Buffett reaped market gains effortlessly. By 1996, Berkshire soared to $34,000 per share. For those investing with Buffett since 1957, $1,000 became $12 million by 1996. For Buffett, it's no longer an issue. His biggest problem now is how to spend money. Previously, Buffett's philanthropy was mainly handled through his wife, Susan. After his father's death, he stopped being a staunch Republican supporter and, influenced by his wife, began focusing on minority groups and the impoverished. But Buffett wasn't satisfied with Susan's charitable approach, feeling it was too inefficient. He agreed more with Gates's views on philanthropy. At Berkshire Hathaway's 1995 annual meeting, invited speaker Gates said, "We shouldn't measure someone's achievement by how much they donate, but by how many lives that money saves." After partnering with Gates in philanthropy, Buffett paid more attention to the world beyond America. He said he won the ovarian lottery, meaning that although his family was modest and he inherited no wealth, being born white in peaceful America gave him a huge head start over most people. He traveled the world with Gates, including their first trip to China in 1994, which shifted his investments toward internationalization. In 2003, Buffett bought shares in PetroChina, his first publicly acknowledged major international investment. However, he emphasized that his investment principles hadn't changed. He wouldn't buy stocks he wasn't familiar with. Because he knew America best, Berkshire Hathaway's investments remained concentrated in the U.S. In 2004, Buffett's wife, Susan, passed away. This meant there was no one in the family he trusted to manage his wealth, as their 3 children pursued different careers. Daughter, Susie managed her mother's charity foundation. Eldest son, Howard, struggled academically, didn't graduate college, tried business partnerships without success, and was once embroiled in a fraud scandal.
Later, Buffett arranged for him to join Berkshire Hathaway as a director.
Buffett had expressed wanting his eldest son to become company chairman someday, but Howard seemed more interested in farming and photography and devoted much energy to wildlife conservation. Well, Howard's youngest son, Peter, was most like Mother Susan, passionate about art, uninterested in investing. After graduating from Stanford, he became a composer, working on scores for Hollywood films like Dances with Wolves. After a failed marriage, Peter adopted twin daughters. Buffett remained conservative about family. He believed non-biological granddaughters shouldn't count as family members. Susan named these granddaughters as heirs in her will, which Buffett strongly opposed. Later, he publicly severed ties with them. Buffett had long established trust funds to manage his children's inheritance. They inherited Berkshire Hathaway shares from their grandparents and mother, Susan. This ensured comfortable lives, but he refused to leave his vast fortune to family. In 2006, Buffett married his longtime partner, Astrid. Simultaneously, he announced donating 85% of his Berkshire shares, mostly to Bill Gates' foundation, gradually reducing his holdings. Since 2008, Berkshire stock tripled, yet Buffett's wealth barely changed, even shrinking some years. Some say Gates is like Buffett's son. Their bond transcends family.
Gates's ideal of changing the world through philanthropy became Buffett's late life purpose.
Reflecting on Buffett's life since the 1990s, Gates was pivotal to his decisions. Though uninterested in tech investing, his friendship with Gates broadened his global vision, enabling China investments and defining his philanthropic legacy. In June 2020, a fake Buffett retirement letter circulated online, proven false.
But many wonder, has Buffett become outdated? When will he retire?
His idol, Mrs. B, worked until 103, retiring just a year before death. Will he challenge that record? Buffett's legend belongs not just to him, but to his era. Throughout life, key figures helped him transform at critical junctures. His father introduced him to stocks. Graham opened professional investing's door. Munger enabled investment scale leaps. Although Catherine Graham was introverted, she became a distinguished guest in elite social circles. Bill Gates helped Buffett find new purpose in his twilight years. Even legends age, but his value-focused mindset, eagerness to learn, and perseverance will never go out of style. But 5A. Okay, that's the snowball. That wraps up our interpretation. Reading notes are below the audio. See you next time.